Hello everyone and welcome to FTTR. I am Hugh McQuaid and today we are not just talking about DEFY, the Splendid and the Vile. No. We are talking about Progress Wrestling. It's Clobberin time, the second show of the evening. And my God, this was a stacked show. And when I say stacked, I mean it was rammed full with matches and it was rammed full with angles and surprises. It was a blow-away show, but did it fully deliver? I'm gonna leave you hanging on that because I think there were some elements of this show that I really liked and some elements probably out of Progress Wrestling's control that I didn't particularly gel with. So we're gonna talk about the good. The good for me was like the majority of the Kid Lykos Spike Trivet stuff. It was all god tier because we know by now that Spike Trivet is one of the best storytellers in wrestling right now. The way he brings up stuff from the past and his incredible use of Dominatus Ranium, I think they're called. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It's just great, and I love the callbacks in the Lykos stuff to the brilliant Cara Noir saga, like obviously the first match of the night was Spike Trivet taking on Lykos 2, and that ended with decimation, decimation from Spike Trivet. There was a really good opening promo as well from Dominatus and the Lykos Gym. I thought they worked really well together, really scathing promos on each other, really built the fire, boiled the fire in this feud, which is already at boiling point. And then that led into the match with Bullet and Lykos, which was great. This was exactly what you thought it would be. It was big guy going against small guy, and Lykos chipping away at the legs of Bullet, with Spike Trivet working his magic on the outside. I thought that was chef's kiss of brilliance. But this ended in a DQ finish as Dominatus Ranium, aka the Smoking Aces, came down, caused the disqualification, and then that led into the big angle, which was almost a repeat of the Cara Noir angle, but Trivet calls it how he likes, referencing his own history, where he drops the chain, he ties up Lykos, hits a brainbuster on Lykos 2 on the chair, which Lykos 2 sold splendidly, absolutely splendidly. The twitching always makes me on edge, but yeah, it was a blow-away angle that really solidified this feud as one to watch in the British wrestling scene. So go out of your way to check out all of the Spike Trivet Lykos stuff because it's just been utterly brilliant. Something else that was utterly brilliant, which I wasn't expecting to be utterly brilliant, was Team Miller versus Team Mayfair. My God, this was over. Absolutely over in the Electric Ballroom, and I absolutely loved every second of it. Team Miller consisted of, it was Simon Miller, Gene Money, and Charles Crowley, who was one of the funniest men alive, taking on Tate Mayfair's Mike Bird and Casey Navarro. It was just so fun. There was so much in this to digest, and I can't go through everything, but just Charles Crowley's so over. He's so over. He's one of the highlights of British wrestling, and anything that he did turned to gold. Spectacular twat. I'm trying to think off the top of my head of the spots that really tickled me. Just his interactions with the crowd, because I was fortunate enough to be on the side of the ring where he was, and just his interactions with the fans, saying that we're so horny, which we obviously are. It was brilliant. It was utterly brilliant stuff, and one of my favourite matches of the night. I really loved Raven Creed versus Lana Austin as well. I think that was wickedly done, because I thought we'd drawn a line under the Raven Creed Lana Austin stuff, but this sort of put a nail on it. It added that stipulation of Lana Austin can get disqualified. If she gets disqualified, she loses the title, which added a bit of, danger to it, like the Randy Orton Christian match did. And you did get elements of that in there where Raven Creed was going after the Lana Austin experience and trying to clock them, but Lana Austin held them back, and Lana Austin ultimately picked up the win, which I really liked. And then we got Alexis Falcon coming out after her brilliant show at Super Strong Style 16. We're getting that feud. I think the only issue with this is I think it's a little bit similar, sort of the top of the men's division and the top of the women's division, because you've got the Lana Austin experience at the top of the Progress women's division. And then you've got Dominatus Ranium at the top of the men's division. A little bit samey, but I think it's thoroughly entertaining. They're having banging matches. So I've got no faults with this whatsoever. And the last thing I'll talk about on the progress side of things was the main event. So the main event was supposed to be Leon Slater taking on Nick Wayne, what I think is a dream match. Leon Slater is one of the biggest rising stars in the industry and easily one of the best as well. And he was supposed to take on prodigy Nick Wayne. It was going to be very flippy stuff, but I think something happened, so Nick Wayne was pulled from the main event, but we as the audience didn't find that out until literally Leon Slater was in the ring. So from there, I think with SoCal Val teasing it as someone big, and we get, no offense to the man, Mark Haskins, who wrestled in the previous show's main event, I think that sort of sucked the air out of the audience, and it led to a bit of a troubling main event. The main event was good, Leon Slater versus Mark Haskins, but it also was done, it couldn't recover from that, in my opinion. I think it did get to Slater a little bit, because the air did get a little bit sucked out of the Electric Ballroom, in my opinion. I think had we found out about this earlier rather than before the match, I think it would have gone down a little bit better. But because it was pulled away from us so soon, it didn't sit right. I think the ensuing match suffered a bit from it. I thought it was a really good match, but struggled to get the crowd into it. It had been a long day of obviously professional wrestling. There were some really good spots, really cool stuff, but I think Haskins winning, maybe not the right decision. I think Leon Slater did need a big win, which he cut a big promo after the show saying he did. He was done in progress if he can't win. So I think we're going to get some interesting stuff with Leon Slater, because he is main event level. Obviously, we've seen him in North Wrestling, main event, their biggest show. So yeah, that was really cool. Really cool that we're getting this fired up Leon Slater, but I think the main event did suffer, unfortunately. And so, asterisk, the last thing I will talk about is the big debut of QT Marshall, the AAA. I can't remember which title he holds, I'm afraid, off the top of my head, but he is a champion in AAA, AEW star, Cody's friend. He had a match with Chuck Mambo for that AAA championship, and it was really fun. You forget how good QT Marshall is, but he's fucking amazing. He's so good, and I loved what he did in this. Him and Chuck Mambo worked really well together. He picked up the win, retained his championship. He was hitting handspring enziguris from every angle. It was so fun. And yeah, that was the big surprise of the show. I think potentially we're leading to a Sunshine Machine split or a turn, just from some of the mannerisms that I'm getting off TK Cooper. So I think we're going that way because they keep losing. So I think that's where we're going with that. But that is what I will talk about from this show. I've obviously missed off a lot of things, but I don't have my notes, unfortunately. I thought this was a really enjoyable show. I think it was stuffed, maybe a bit too stuffed, but because they had the big gap in between Strong Style and now, I think they had the issue of, we need to start all our angles, start all our stories, and let's get the ball rolling again for a new season of Progress Wrestling. So I think it may have suffered a little bit because of that, but I think all the matches were really good. And yeah, it was a fun show. Overall, I preferred the DEFY part, I think, over this. But this was stuffed with stuff that I love, like your Spike stuff, like the 6-man tag, like the Lana Austin experience. So overall, I give it a 3.5 out of 5. Not the strongest Progress show that I've seen, but certainly a very enjoyable one. Let me know your thoughts on the show if you were there down in the comments below, and I'll try to reply to every single one of them. Thank you all ever so much for your support. Stay tuned for all in content coming soon, and have a nice day.